Hello everybody, and today's review is going to be on the NatureHike Cloud Up 2 tent. So you can get this backpacking tent on Amazon right now for $120, which is extremely affordable when it comes to backpacking tents. So I bought this tent about 3 years ago, and I have used it now at least a dozen times on backcountry hunts, whether that's in the fall, the winter, the spring, snow, rain, heat, sunshine. I have used this tent and I have loved it. So I don't see hardly any reviews on NatureHike or any other tents, so I thought I would go ahead and do one that's kind of geared more towards backcountry hunters. So this tent, like I said, 120 bucks on Amazon. It says on Amazon that it's 4.5 pounds. I'm telling you right now, it does not weigh that much. If you go to REI, Bass Pro, and you pick up some of their 4.5 pound tents, this thing, I mean, is substantially lighter. You can see my fisheye lens probably makes it look huge, but I don't have big hands. This thing fits perfectly in a backpack. You could almost fit it in your back pocket. I mean, it's truly not that big of a tent. So we're gonna pop it up in the yard. I'm gonna get in it, kind of show you how to put it together, show you everything I like about it, all of its features, and then just kind of go over everything about the tent. I also got a scale here because I've always suspected that this tent doesn't actually weigh 4.5 pounds. So we're gonna weigh it. So that's gonna be first, and then we're gonna hop in and put the tent up. So let's get a weight here on it. Set it right on there. Make sure nothing's touching on the sides. That reads 2 pounds 11 ounces. 2 pounds 11 ounces, and I'm telling you right now, this has the footprint, it's got the mat in it, it's got the aluminum stakes that set the tent up, it's got I think there's 12 aluminum stakes that go in the ground that comes with it. The rain tarp, this is every single thing that you're about to see me put up in the yard is in this bag. So just for size reference, like I said, I don't have a big hand. This thing is not that big. It's a pretty small tent and it packs up really nice. And I'm not surprised at all that this thing only weighs 2 pounds. So let's set it up in the yard and get to it. So one thing I do really like about how this comes packaged, and you can see how small this is. I don't have big hands by any means, but the mat comes in its own pack. The stakes have its own stake pack, and then this is, or I'm sorry, this is for the stakes. This is the aluminum poles you set the tent up with. So you get the mat, the poles, the tent, the stakes go in here. You see these little aluminum stakes. And then they all fit into this bag. So it is really nice that you kind of get everything separated, especially this mat. It's a pretty nice little mat. They're so cheap, I actually bought just a mat to take for a tarp when I'm elk hunting. So I've actually, this might be the mat I used when we field dressed the elk last year. So that's another great thing just about the way this tent comes set up, ready to go. Okay, so the tent is set up in the yard right here behind me. We'll do a little walk around here. You can see it comes with these little aluminum stakes. It comes with the hooks to stake out the outside. I didn't do the other side just because it's so windy from this side that it's keeping that side pushed out. But it comes with all the stakes. It comes with the mat or the tarp, and then the tent goes on top of that, and then you have the rain cover. So we'll go around it again, but it essentially comes with everything you need right out of the box. You can see there's a little bit of a footprint there, which I love. You can keep a lot of stuff in there, like a stove or just really whatever extra stuff you have. So it's got vents, and this thing is super easy to set up. So let's go ahead and hop into it. I'll go ahead and put my bag in first, just for size reference. This is a Mystery Ranch Marshall. So you can see kind of the amount of room. We'll crawl in here just to give you a feel for the space. It's got 2 zippers, which I love. You could zip this all the way up. I got it a little tight down at the bottom, and then you also have the mesh zip here. So you could actually leave this open if it's warm. So I have been in this tent pretty much on all of my backcountry hunts. So in the fall, November deer hunts where I had a bunch of snow and sleet and just really nasty, wet, cold weather, I stayed in this tent and I stayed completely dry. I didn't have any condensation or anything come through. You can see it's a double wall tent, so you got the mesh here, and then on the other side through here, you have the actual rain tarp. So, and you could go without the rain tarp too and just have this mesh open air where you can see the stars and everything, which is really nice to use if you're in a really dry climate in the summer. But I've used this tent on elk hunts, turkey hunts, deer hunts, pretty much every time I'm backcountry hunting, and it has worked for me in pretty much all weather in every scenario, which I love for the price, because this thing only cost $120 on Amazon, and it comes in right about 4.5 pounds. And honestly, when you pick it up, it doesn't feel like 4.5 pounds at all. So 4.5 pounds, when they say that weight, I imagine that's in the bag with all of the stakes, with everything. So compared to some of the higher priced tents, the Big Agnes and especially like a QU tent or a Stone Glacier tent, this thing is well below that price point, and I have found it to work extremely well in all uses that I've needed it for. So just kind of back up here and see, just kind of give you an idea of how much room is really in here. I'm about 5'11", 170. And you can see you got enough room. I can usually get my mat here on this side of the tent, and then I got enough room. This pack is empty, but I can usually put the pack down at the end. You can put it up here by your head, and then you got enough room for a bow, a rifle, or anything here next to you. And then usually my stove, my boots, anything that might be wet or I don't want in here with me, you can actually keep under this footprint, which you got quite a bit of room here. This is the bag that it comes in. It packs down really small. So it says it's rated for 2 people. You could definitely get 2 people in here. They'd be laying right next to you, so you know, it would have to be a pretty close buddy. Me and my fiance have slept in this during summer, you know, camping trips, and we fit in here both fine. But if you're 2 big dudes, or just 2 dudes in general, with gear, it's probably better suited for 1 person. But for as light as it is, I really love it. So I don't feel the weight of this thing at all. In fact, when I was putting it up, it's so light that sometimes if it's windy, it can get kind of challenging. But it only took me about, I don't know, 5 to 8 minutes to pop this thing up, and it's just, you can see the stake that runs to the top of it here, and all you do is you hook the mesh on these stake points, and then these all fold back up really nice. So overall, I think this is a great value for backcountry hunters. So everything you buy costs a ton of money. These bags cost a ton of money, your bow costs a ton of money, your rifle costs a ton of money, your boots cost a ton of money. To be able to find something that works really well, that doesn't break the bank, where you can maybe save a few bucks that you can put elsewhere in your hunt, is great. So I really recommend this is the Cloud Up 2. Just one more. I'm sitting, you know, on my bottom, but I'm right here at the top of the tent, but it's still enough room, you know, to sit up when you're on your hunt. So again, it's a lot better than a bivvy. It's a lot lighter than a lot of the tents you can buy at REI, stuff like that. When I went to shop around for these things, I picked up all the tents, and I was kind of surprised with how heavy they are, because a lot of these tent companies aren't, they're not adding the stakes, they're not adding all of that into the actual weight of the tent. But this, everything put together, we can throw it on the scale here and just see what it says. But online it says it's 4.5 pounds, and it does truly feel super light, and it packs down super that's going to be our review. I love this tent. I think this is, like I said, one of the best values you can get for backcountry hunts. If you don't want to spend $500 or $600 on a tent, you can get this one for 120. I've never been in, you know, real deep snow, no 4th season rifle hunts, nothing in, you know, December and January in this tent in the backcountry. So I can't really, you know, compare it to anything there, but I've definitely been in this tent during some rifle hunts where I got a lot of snow, sleet, rain, wind, and it held up really well. So I think as long as you're not doing any extreme mountaineering, this tent is going to get you by pretty much everything during the fall hunting season. So we'll go throw this tent on the scale, and then that'll be the end of our video. If you have any questions about the tent or any of the gear we use, just send us a message and we'll try to answer it. That reads 2 pounds 11 ounces. 2 pounds 11 ounces, and I'm telling you right now, this has the footprint, it's got the mat in it, it's got the aluminum stakes that set the tent up, it's got all, I think there's 12 aluminum stakes that go in the ground that comes with it. The rain tarp, this is every single thing that you're about to see me put up in the yard is in this bag. So